Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria 3, where we are currently working back towards that 600k population marker. We will get there. Our peasant count is definitely improving. And the real question right now is, how long until we're going to start constructing these logging camps in Ohio? Okay, so we're 71% of the way there right now. Now we're 70% of the way there. That's interesting. Okay, I don't know why that went backwards. I'm guessing that was probably a rounding issue, and possibly because I just started up the game. Now we're at 72. And now we're still at 72. Okay, so yeah, that's going to be a little while, but not a terribly long amount of time. So that sounds good. We are in debt a little bit right now, and we're working on paying that off. That's absolutely fine. Keep in mind, at our current interest rates, we would prefer not to remain in debt very long, but what we really need right now, hi rubber mastication. So what we really need right now is we need to get this steel mill finished. Construction efficiency is a lot better now, but just having the investment pool building is going to be a significant aid for that. So that is good. Now, our standard of living is not too bad. In fact, we're just about to the point where everyone's at least at the minimum expected. So that is pretty okay. I want to check in on some migration attraction here. So 10.7, 11.6. Okay, we at least have some amount of migration. Now, all of this migration here is happening internally. So that's good. We do not have the mass emigration anymore. So that's great. I don't think we need to be running a greener grass campaign in Ohio at this juncture. So let's get rid of that. What are we running for consumption taxes at this moment? Nothing at all. Okay. A tobacco consumption tax, I think, is useful. So let's get that going to boost our income slightly. This should not materially affect our setup here. Yeah. Tobacco's a little expensive for them, but it shouldn't materially affect that. So that seems okay. That will earn us roughly 200 pounds a week. So that will definitely be great. We'll get that debt paid off nice and quickly then. And checking in here, 79% on this. Okay, now 81. This is fluctuating around a lot, actually. That's interesting. So we're going to let that finish up. That probably has to do with the fact that 11% of the weekly construction cost is covered by available weekly funds paid into the investment pool. This number is variable. So that's probably why that this is fluctuating around then, would be my guess. That's okay. That is absolutely fine at this moment. We do need to still pay off some debt, and we will get there. So things are looking fine in that regard. We're up to 8.47k peasants, and I'm wondering where. Mostly in Wisconsin is the answer. So that's interesting for sure. We have qualifications here, so that's not an issue. Motor industries lack demand then. Tooling workshops, they're doing pretty well. Our logging camps here, they're doing pretty well as well. Maize farms, they're doing okay. Yeah, so that is all relatively fine. Understood. We currently have a coal mine queued in Illinois. Can we move that? No, but we can put a sulfur mine in Wisconsin. We don't produce sulfur. Having some form of sulfur would be good. I would do that after the coal mine. That's a long ways away. That's understood. So that looks fine for now. 9.11k peasants. Okay, so that's slowly drifting upward. But I'm wondering if we are still having any migration internally here into Ohio. No, it's migrating into Indiana. Okay, that seems fine for now. We've got this paper mill here. We've got this, the logging camp's doing pretty okay. I think we're definitely in a position now where we need to be getting additional jobs created. I think that's pretty clear. And we need to be a bit smart about it. But look at that, our GDP soared, and the reason for that is this private construction. So that private construction is ongoing. How long is that going to last? Okay. So that's going to last about 15 more weeks. That's fine. For the time being, we'll let that go, and we do have our debt paid off at this moment. My question is, if we were to resume construction, and I think that this is a bad idea right now, but hypothetically, if we were to resume construction, what would this end up costing us? Well, 11.8k would be the overall goods cost, And then that would be divided between the investment pool and our funds. So that would be a 50-50 division, right? So this should be somewhere around minus 6K. So when we factor in our current surplus, it would be around 5K per week. So I think for right now, we'll just let this logging camp build, and we'll just continue to build up funds for... So that sounds reasonably good for now. I would like to consider raising taxes, but I don't think that's a good idea at this moment. I think we have to keep taxes fairly low, so that is reasonably fine. That was a big Egypt deal. Oh my, okay. Have fun with that one, Great Britain. Great Britain is not going to have fun with that. So we have an explosives shortage. This is not a big concern, of course. We produce explosives, so no problem there. Checking in here, we can see 8.61K peasants. Okay. So yeah, we definitely need to get some jobs flowing in here. No doubt about that one. We're up to about 5K in our gold reserves, which means that we can do like 1 week of construction. Although, that investment pool is going down by 6.37K. Hang on, the investment pool is going to run out of money here. That's interesting. So construction is currently paused. I was under the impression that it had set aside all of the money that it needed to get this built. That's very interesting. Construction paused here at about halfway. And now we're building up funds here again, but we're waiting for funding to become available here. Okay, so now we're constructing again. So that's definitely interesting. Do we want the big men to get the credits here? Actually, kind of no. We'll do the rural folk attraction. That's fine for now. So we're going to run out of money pretty quickly here. I do want to do a very... Well, actually, we're... No, we're not paused here. Okay, I want to run this really fast, 1 week only. I want to know where exactly we're at while constructing privately as well. Minus 1.38K. An investment pool is positive. Interesting. That is almost manageable. If we were to max our taxes, which we should not do, but if we were to max our taxes, this would be manageable. Now, at this moment, we've got 1.11K in unrealized taxes. Most of this is not due to the bureaucracy. That's only 7.5% of the, what was that, 47% tax waste? 46%. So we could get this by boosting our bureaucracy. We could get this to like 39%, which would be nice, but mostly this is caused by turmoil. And we are seeing our radicalism slowly drift down. We're down below 300K, so that is definitely looking good. Why is this saying the number of radicals has gone up in the last year when I'm looking at the graph and it has clearly gone down? Okay. I feel like this number is not exactly accurate, because we are down from where I noticed it at previously as well. So, sure. We definitely want to do that. Okay, this has gone up to 4.3K. That's noted. Presumably this is because of the goods substitution price. Yeah, that's definitely what that is. Okay, so we should pause our construction then. Now we know that we're about where we expect it to be. So that's good to know. Let's get that paused. And we're going to start paying off that debt again. So that looks wonderful. Of course, our private construction is currently also paused, so that's noted. 2.58K though, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this, actually. So we're about 4 weeks away from getting this logging camp constructed, and we're currently at about 5K peasants. Noted. Yeah, this is looking pretty decent. We do need to get a few more jobs going here, but I think that this logging camp in Ohio will be helpful. Let's check here. Yeah, so we're at 44.6K in Ohio right now. Is that our lowest population state? Yes, it is. But not by a huge amount at this point, so that looks good. It definitely used to be way lower population than this. So we're going to get this logging camp finished up. That is now completed. Well, actually, it will be completed as of this week. So that looks fine. There we go. So that is absolutely great. And our GDP drops because we're not constructing. That's absolutely understood. Construction is our primary source of demand right now for wood and for... Actually, this isn't done yet. But that's our primary source of demand for wood and iron. We would absolutely like to get more domestic, like, default demand for that. So that would be good, but we're working on that. We will eventually finish up this steel mill. Eventually. Okay, so we're down to 270k now. This is definitely trending downward, but this is still saying it's gone up in the last year. It has not. So this number is a lie. I guess we need to really be looking at the differential between the number of radicals, plus 15k, and the number of loyalists, plus 38.5k. But this number removes them from radicals before the pop becomes loyal, right? So we definitely have a pretty decent drop going on here. That is a good thing. And we also got a privatization at some point. We've got 52.1k. We should be constructing then, but maybe we should wait until this private construction is ready to go, because that will mean that we can construct longer, although it will be the same amount of output, right? So maybe we're better off just getting this going right now and spending this money down. So something like this. So 20 weeks, we're not going to be able to get this fully constructed. That said, I'm just thinking about this. We're still at minus 30% construction efficiency in Michigan. I'm actually thinking that we're not going to construct this right now. I think we should bank up money, build when this private construction gets going, or when our construction efficiency is better. Whichever happens first. Construction efficiency is a significant problem. Radicals have started to drift back up a little bit. This is probably because standard of living has dipped like 0.2, and that's absolutely understood. Not a huge issue there. So we currently have a decent amount of money on hand, 51.3k. That's absolutely fine, and our steel mill, we can get that completed eventually. But I'm just watching this radicalism number right now. If we can harvest those unrealized taxes, that will be a significant boon. Average tax waste is down to 42. So that's definitely getting better. But that's only 949 unrealized taxes. That's not a huge number, right? So we definitely have to consider that. So what privatized here? This must have been a foreign investment thing. Interesting. Yeah, that must have been some sort of foreign investment. So 55.2k is enough to get us... This is going to be what, like 5-ish weeks of construction at full construction price? Which, that's going to take a couple weeks to ramp up to that full price. But somewhere around 5-ish weeks of construction, I think. So that's not fantastic. We know that this steel mill is going to take like 20 weeks. So we need somewhere around like 200k, ideally, in gold reserves. Or we need this financial district to expand the logging camps in Wisconsin. And that would actually be a fantastic thing for us to do, to expand this. Where are we building this steel mill anyway? This is in Michigan? Okay, understood. So POPs are still below the minimum expected standard of living in United Indian Ohio. The logging camps here will help that somewhat, but I'm wondering about the actual standard of living here. Okay, so this is lower strata. And what's the issue here? Grain cost, specifically in Ohio, is quite high. They do have a maize farm here, so, I mean, they can drive that down by hiring in. There is a bit of a shortage of fertilizer in United Indian Ohio, so maybe an import route of fertilizer is not a terrible concept. We don't have anybody to import it from. So we could make like a fertilizer factory, or we could make a livestock ranch, which will generate some amount of fertilizer. It's not a huge amount, but a fertilizer plant, do we have any of those? No. And putting one in United Indian Ohio wouldn't be the worst idea in the world, although we can see it's not tremendous. It would give us demand for sulfur and iron, so maybe that's something to do after we build the coal mine and sulfur mine. Something kind of like this. That would take a long time. so that's understood. We're up to 67k in gold reserves, so that's definitely buying us a little bit more time to build. And keeping an eye here on this logging camp, we're 70%. Okay, so we're going to continue to wait on that for now. And checking in on our funding here, unrealized taxes is now down to 800, average tax waste of 38. So that's not going to get to 0, of course, because we've got this bureaucracy malice. That's understood, but if we can get some of these trade routes gone, that would be very helpful. So actually, let's think about trade routes that we've got going on here. So let's start by revenue, and yeah, I'd love to not have this steel mill here. That would be tremendously good, but we don't currently domestically produce steel. We don't domestically produce sulfur at this time. This is a paper export route, and that is currently negative. So a negative export route we shouldn't have. This is a tea import route. We do not produce tea. This is a fabric import route. We do produce fabric, so we should probably cancel that. We don't produce coal at this time. Export route of wood is, I think, even though this is saying that this is negative, any wood demand that we can get at this juncture, I think is good. We don't domestically produce lead, so an export of iron, again, any iron demand that we can get, I'm happy with for the moment. So tools here, this is an export route. We may want to consider dropping that, but I think our tools workshop and our tools pricing is fairly good right now. So I don't mind that. An export route of tobacco, yes, this is good. Fertilizer import, yeah, there's not much we can do about that. And grain, we pretty much need to be importing right now, so that's all fine. And these are all positive down here. So for now, that will do. That will boost our bureaucracy, so we're now only at a 4.9% tax waste. So that's something. And once we get this underway here, once we get some steel production domestically, that's going to be a significant boost for us. Oh, this is 5.32. So this is down to 2.5% tax waste. Excellent. Why is there a lock button here? Oh, when did they add this? Has this always been here? I don't know why you'd ever want to auto-hide this, though. It's very small and it has useful information. Okay, so that looks neat. We are up to 611k population at this point. So we're at the highest population we've ever had at this juncture. So that looks good. Our average tax waste is now down to 33%, and we've got 74k here. We're at 73% on funding of that logging camp. Okay, so that's noted for right now. Let's continue to bank some cash for the moment. What is our current construction efficiency in Michigan? Still 29.7. I wonder if that's updated. Turmoil is 45.5. Okay. What is our level of law enforcement? I don't think these are actually working up because we have a bureaucracy deficit. Yeah, that's understood. I would like to get our bureaucracy up, but we just can't really afford it right now. Maybe after the steel mill is constructed. Maybe. But we definitely need to have a domestic source of steel. There's no doubt about that one. So our investment pool is doing pretty okay. We've got almost 80k in the gold reserve at this juncture. This is going up slower than I would like, but it's fine for the moment. So we're at about 80%. We're waiting for this to fill up before we start our construction. Alternatively, if we hit our cap on gold reserves, which is 132k, we should start our construction at that point. So we'll see what that timing ends up looking like. Those are our two go signals. If we're about to hit our gold cap, because once we hit our gold cap, things start getting expensive and we have diminishing returns. So we don't want to have diminishing returns on that. And we also want to be constructing simultaneously here to reduce the overall drag. We're going to, again, have the same amount of construction output, but it'll allow us to build longer, which would be a good thing for our economy overall. We want to boost our economy for as long as possible, so combining these together will allow us to do that. It's the same amount of money overall. We just want to have it be a longer boost in hopes that we can get things positive while constructing. That would be ideal. But for now, things are looking pretty okay. We're at 268k, 27.9, and 29.9, so that's not a lot of change at this moment. High legitimacy is not actually doing much for us here. And this is in the last year. So 500 per year. What is our current... Okay, high labor movement. That's going to be a good thing eventually. But we're 99. I'm actually surprised our number of loyalists isn't higher than that. But okay, sure. So workers' protections, we don't have human rights for. That's understood. Actually, hang on. Regulatory bodies we can do, but nobody actually wants it. The trade unions are marginalized, and the industrialists would be radicalized by this. No one else cares. So that's understood. The United Indian Supremacist Movement? No. Get out of here. So that's going to give us a few more radicals, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So that's absolutely fine for now. I'm just checking here. Yeah, we're definitely seeing the number of loyalists going up faster. So we're down to 266k radicals at this point. Now, our gold reserve cap just went up significantly. And I want to check in here, 98. Okay, so we're about to start working on this logging camp in Wisconsin. Excellent. So we'll get that going. Basically now we're ready for construction, and they are constructing. So I'm going to unpause our government construction. You can see this is going to be 37 weeks. But let's see where this puts us at. Okay, so minus 1.93k, but look at that GDP bump. Whenever we're constructing, our GDP just starts to soar. And that's a very good thing for us. We absolutely want that to happen. People will start getting hired in. We're really stimulating the economy with this. And we want that to happen for as long as possible. So we're going to keep going for as... And hopefully it'll be a decent chunk of time. So, I mean, yeah, it'll last a little while. This isn't going to be enough to finish the steel mill, but it's going to be fairly close. In the meantime, we see our investment pool is shrinking as well, so that's understood. Shortage of glass right now. We do have a glass work, I believe, so a domestic production of glass should be fine. We have a glass work, don't we? Hang on, that would be up here. Yeah, we do have a glass works, so that's fine. The price of glass is very, very high. Is glass used in our construction on this level? Hang on. No, it's not. So that's interesting. Well, at any rate, we'll hire in people here in this glassworks. We produce it domestically. I don't want to import it. So that'll be fine for the moment. And we'll just continue working on this construction for now. We will run out of money on this eventually, but the longer we can construct, the better this is for our people. So that's absolutely understood. And we're making a decent chunk of money at this point. So our unrealized taxes are 606 at this juncture. Tax waste is now down to 26%. So things are definitely improving on that front. I'm hoping that that construction efficiency fixes itself, but we've still got a bit of an issue in Michigan. It seems like most of this radicalism reduction, and it's currently going up, but most of the radicalism is being reduced not in Michigan. And that's, you know, not ideal. But there are other things that we can do to tackle the situation here, and that would be absolutely fine. For the time being, we're just going to continue to do what we're doing. GDP is dropping right now, and standard of living is going with it. And of course, that's what's giving us a few more radicals and loyalists right now. But that's not the biggest of deals. Okay, so we're going to run out of money eventually here. But for the moment, things are looking pretty okay. We're getting progress on this steel mill. This steel mill will be a very, very good thing for us because we do need some domestic source of steel. So once we have that, then we can cancel our steel import route, which would be great for our bureaucracy. But what we really need to do is we need to start turning up, and we may want to do this now, actually. We may want to turn up our, oh yeah, fertilizer plants. We can go up to improved fertilizers for the moment. That'll be okay. We may want to come in, oh sure, we can turn this up too. Okay, that'll be fine for now. But what I was going to do, hang on, financial districts can go to publicly traded. And yes, we won't have the qualifications necessarily. That's understood. I'm going to do it anyway. We'll get there on the qualifications. As far as the government administration goes, I do want to go to filing cabinets. This is going to be painful, but we do produce paper domestically. And let's see what this ends up looking like as we have good substitution occur. So as you can see, we currently have bureaucracy, and that is important because that'll allow us to work up these institutions. Specifically, a big one here is going to be law enforcement. So that's going to be pretty huge. Okay, so education is going to go up as well. That'll be good. We're currently at minus 5k here, and our balance would be minus about 400 at this point. Unrealized taxes are about 600 of that. So that is absolutely understood. The current tax waste is 23. So as long as we can harvest the unrealized taxes here, we should be relatively okay. We're going to have to pause construction relatively soon, though, and that's understood. We may have to turn up taxes slightly. That may become necessary here. So if we were to put this here, that would put us positive. Okay, that's a big deal, actually, because if we can get our law enforcement up, which will take a while to do, if we can get our law enforcement up, that will significantly reduce turmoil penalties. That's a very, 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 very big deal. I cannot overstate how big of a deal that is. So we're going to finish up this logging camp shortly. This is about 3 weeks away. And we actually, I think, got an additional bump of money there. Perhaps another privatization, which is good. We would be delighted by that. That means that we can build longer. Our education investment has gone up to 3. That will boost our qualifications considerably. So the private construction is now done. Now, this is going to start getting very expensive, but that steel mill is only 6 weeks away. I think we can build this. Yeah, I think we can. Glass shortage, but we'd produce glass domestically. No problem there. We're up to 630k population at this time. Number of peasants is down to 4,000. So things are looking solid on this front. We should pause our construction after we finish this steel mill. That's about 3 weeks away. Yeah, we can definitely get this steel mill finished. Beautiful. That's really, really good. Public trading has now been completed. Excellent. Mutually beneficial. And the radicals are now in existence. So the Radical Party now exists, and that is the trade unions and the rural folk. I actually kind of want the Radical Party to get some momentum here. We'll see about that. So the steel mill is going to be done now. Home affairs went up. Law enforcement, health system all went up. That's very, very good. So now we're going to pause this construction at this juncture. There we go. And we've still got a little bit of gold. We're not going to go into debt here. So we can then start building up a little bit of funds. There we go. This is exactly where we expected to be. This position is great. So we've got a steel mill out over here in Michigan. We do lack qualifications. Oh, the steam donkey has been unlocked. We're probably going to want to do something with that. But for the time being, I want to check in. Yeah, so the steel mill, not doing great. The price of steel is really, really low. We need to cancel this trade route. This is going to give us a steel shortage. That's absolutely fine. Yes, we have a steel shortage. So we got steam donkeys. We can go to, say, the open hearth process. That'll be fine. And then if we go in here, we can immediately start thinking about bringing up some of these. Now, tooling workshops, we could go to steel tools. We do have a domestic source of steel. That's going to use steel instead of iron and produce more tools. Do we need more tools at this moment? Actually, kind of, yeah. So let's switch this over. That's going to give us a drive for our steel. So that is a good thing there, which is also going to give us a drive for our iron, right? Well, I'm going to swap all of these over to steam donkeys. This is going to drive the price of coal and engines. So coal is going to be a bit of an issue. That's understood. And we can do the same thing with logging camps. Again, that's going to have low productivity. That's understood. We do produce engines domestically. We would love to import more coal for the moment. We're going to need to make coal, and we're working on a coal mine. So that's understood. That looks fine for the moment. I want to give this a 1 week tick here. It is about time to put a cut in here. In fact, it's past time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to see how this ends up shaking out. I am expecting that we see the price of steel start to drive employment here. Although we're currently not hiring in. They won't try and... Okay, so let's get a hiring target going there. We definitely need to get some coal coming in, though. No doubt about that. And yeah, we did manage to hire into that steel mill. So that looks good. Checking in on our motor industries, we've got some employees here, so we've got that, in theory, also under control. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.